Have you ever visited a friend's home and their dog is just calmly chilling on their bed? You know your dog would be like a bouncing kangaroo the second someone comes through the door. That calmness is grown through rehearsal. It's no accident. One of my 6 pearls of wisdom with dog training is what a dog rehearses, they become. This is where neuroscience really helps us understand what is going on with our dog's behaviours. Have you heard the saying, neurons that fire together wire together? This means that every time your dog repeats a behaviour, their brain strengthens that pathway. Think of it like a pathway through a field of long grass. So the first time you go through the field, there is no pathway. You then repeat walking through this field and gradually you start to flatten the grass. Eventually, as you repeat this on a daily basis, for example, you have started to create a well-worn path through this field. When a dog rehearses behaviours, their brain starts to learn, this is the route I take. So, for example, if you've got a dog that barks every time they hear something outside, and they rehearse that behaviour every single time, their brain starts to realise, when I hear a noise, I bark. This is the route I take. The more they rehearse this behaviour, the better they get at it, and the more their brain at an unconscious level starts to default to this behaviour. So, if you have a dog that is continually showing a behaviour that you would love to change, such as pulling on the lead, jumping up at visitors, counter surfing, barking at noises outside, these habits have all been learned through rehearsal. This also totally flips on its head the saying that we have all been brought up with dogs, and for me horses as well, of ignore bad behaviours and reward good behaviours. When we ignore undesirable behaviours, our dogs are actually learning to become exceptionally good at undesirable behaviours. When I had my horse Badger, one of his habits was to always kick his stable door when he knew I was getting his dinner ready. And I literally would, under my breath, I would just grit my teeth and I'd say, just ignore him, and he'll stop. Newsflash, he never stopped. And the behaviour, the kicking at the door, it just got a lot worse. It got louder and it became a lot more frequent. So how about the behaviours we love with our dogs, like them calmly chilling on the bed when we're having dinner, or when we've got visitors over, or when you are in the car and they're happy just chilling in their crate or on the back seat? These behaviours all come from rehearsal as well. They are no accident. Rehearsing calm is just as powerful as rehearsing chaos. By watching this video, I know you want the best for your dog. I know you want to find out ways how you can best support them. And one of the ways that I love to help owners when we are looking at changing behaviours is, rather than the old way of training that we were all told of ignore bad behaviours, reward good behaviours, what we are going to do is we are going to interrupt the unwanted behaviours and we're going to reward good behaviours. If your dog is showing signs of behaviours that you are now recognising are rehearsed behaviours, then simply telling them to stop, going, no, shush, no, don't do that, go over there, no. It doesn't work. It very, very rarely ever works. Some dogs will obey those commands of shush, no, shush, oh, over there, no, don't do that, jump down, get down, all of that. Some dogs will obey those commands. The problem that you have is your dog will quite often emotionally feel like they're being punished. So emotionally, they're still not in a good headspace. And we don't want that for our dogs. We want our dogs to feel happy, content, calm, and be able to make good choices. What does work though is if we teach our dogs an attention noise. This is so powerful and it works, and I want to show you how to do it with your dog. So what we need to do is we need to interrupt that pattern before it takes hold and get them doing something else. Imagine a runaway train. It's just about to, so it's up here, it's literally just about to go over the edge down a steep decline. That moment, just as it's about to tip over the edge, that's your moment of opportunity with your dog and their behaviour. Once it's flying downhill, it picks up momentum, and you know with your dogs, once they get started, if they're barking excessively at something, you can't stop them. And to be honest, their brains are on different planets quite often when they've got like that, and you're not going to get through to them. Instead of waiting for the barking in this example to explode, we get in there just before that behaviour starts. So, for instance, imagine this runaway train again. So it's going along, you can see it happening. So say, for instance, if your dog barks at something outside and you hear that first noise as well, and so does your dog. So you need to get in there just before your dog goes, oh, what was that? And then the barking starts. That's the runaway train picking up momentum. So right at that moment, that's when you get in there. So how do we teach this attention noise? The first thing is like we were saying earlier, we're not going to be doing anything that sounds negative like that. Ah, no, stop, don't, get down, all of that. An attention noise is very different. What it does is it creates calmness, and it creates within your dog that, oh, something good's about to happen. Our dogs are very, very good at picking up on our energy. So if we are tense and loud and we sound stressed in our voices, they are going to pick up on that. So when we are calm with an attention noise, our dogs will sense that, but we will feel calmer as well. And that makes the world of difference. When you feel calm yourself, you are in such a better place to help your dog. So you can use whatever works best for you. You can do like a tongue click, you can like this, or a kissy noise, or whatever works for you. As long as when you do it, first of all, it sounds calm, you feel calm. So compare like a to a, oi, no, over here. There's a total difference. So really think about what you think will work best for you first. The key to teaching this attention noise is to teach it in a really easy environment for your dog. So for instance, we'll go back to the barking example. If you're going to do it and your main objective is to prevent the barking and to change that into a new behaviour, what we will not do is only teach the attention noise when there are noises outside, because quite often your dog's brains are gone. They've heard the noise, they're barking already, and emotionally they're too much in that moment. So we do it away from that. So one of my sayings, again, this is one of my 6 pearls of wisdom for dog training, is we train for the situation rather than in the situation. And that is so powerful. So what we do for the attention noise when we very first start training it is we take the dogs somewhere really calm in the house, so maybe in the kitchen or the living room where there's nothing else going on. And all you're going to do is you're going to get some of their favourite food, some of their kibble or some favourite treats. Have it in your hand, and you're just going to wait for your dog to choose to look at you. You're not going to prompt them. You're not going to go, come on, look at me, look what I've got here. You're going to wait for them to look at you. The second they look at you, you're going to give them a piece of food. Now, if they can catch, you can throw a bit of food for them, because that just adds a bit more of the fun factor in. So you're going to wait for them to choose to look at you. As soon as they look at you, you're going to give them a piece of food. Now, you're going to rehearse this a couple of times, and I would build this up over a couple of days. Maybe do it 3 or 4 times, a few times, over the next few days. You're going to build that up. Now, what's going to happen is your dog's brain is going to start going, when I look at mum or dad, something pretty awesome happens. So what you're then going to do is you're then going to start building in the attention noise. And again, what you're going to do is you're going to wait for them to choose to look at you. And as soon as they look at you, you're going to make your attention noise. So it might be like that, and then deliver the food. So again, you can give it to them or throw it to them if they can catch. You're going to now rehearse this stage several times. So again, this stage is they choose to look at you. As soon as they look at you, you make your attention noise or whatever noise you're going to go for, deliver the food. You're going to build that up over a few days. And the next stage, this is the one that is really powerful. And this is where the difference really starts to happen. Say, for instance, they're just chilling in their bed, or they're in the kitchen, but they've got their backs to you. You're going to make that attention noise and see what they do. Do they turn around? Do they go, oh, I know what that noise means? And if they do, as soon as they turn around, you deliver the food. Okay, now imagine this in the scenario of a behaviour that you're wanting to change. For instance, maybe you've got a cat in the house and they see a cat move and you know they're about to go and chase that cat. You can do the attention noise and see if that interrupts the pattern that they have of cat moves, I chase and bark. Okay, so imagine the cat's about to move, you go like that and they go, oh, I know that noise. You've interrupted that pattern. The cat's got away, and what's happening now is your dog is now rehearsing cat moves. I disengage from the cat, I focus on mum or dad, and more importantly, they're ignoring the cat, which is brilliant. If you're in that scenario with a cat and dog, that's everything, isn't it? The one thing to remember is build it in layers. And one of my favourite sayings when I'm working with owners is let your dog lead the learning. If you are making your clicking noise or whatever your attention noise is, and your dog doesn't turn to look at you, then you know you need to put more growth into the earlier stages. So let your dog show you where they are with the learning. Also, make the stages really, make the levels really easy for your dog. So again, if we go back to the cat scenario, you're not going to do it the first time or the second or even the third time. You're not going to do it when the cat's there. You're going to make it really easy for your dog. You're going to do it in the situation. So with this scenario of the cat, you're going to do that when you are pretty certain you can make that noise and your dog's going to turn and look at you. That's when you can then start bringing it in for what I call the more tricky scenarios. One of the behaviours I wanted to change with my little Bob was whenever I'd come home from the food shopping, I'd walk into the kitchen with all my food bags and this little dog would be straight into all the bags and he literally would be pulling food out of the shopping bags. And I was like, we got to sort this out. This can't carry on. I didn't want to punish him. I didn't want to be saying that, no, go to your bed, or shutting him in the hallway with the stair gate and him being distressed. I didn't want that. What I wanted is I wanted us to create a new pattern, a new rehearsal and a new behaviour of me coming in the house, popping my shopping bags down on the floor and Bobby being calm. I didn't want him to emotionally feel excited, which is what he previously was doing. I didn't want him to emotionally feel worried or feel like I was punishing him by shutting him out of the kitchen. I wanted him to be calm, happy and content. So the way I did this is I taught him the attention noise. I did it away from no food shopping. And then what I did is, if you go back to what we were saying earlier of we're going to take them away from the behaviour we didn't want them doing and we're going to get them focused on what we do want them doing. Now, I wanted Bobby to be focused on something else rather than the food shopping. So what I did is, before I came home from the food shopping, I had ready in the hallway, I had a snuffle mat. So I would walk into the kitchen, put my shopping bags down. As soon as he started to go towards the shopping bags, I would make the attention noise and he'd go, oh, because his brain would go, I know that noise. He would then turn to me, I'd give him some food, and I would then, with his snuffle mat, I would then pop that down on the other side of the kitchen near his bed and he could enjoy his food in the snuffle mat. And what would happen is he was starting to rehearse over time as we were doing this. He was rehearsing, ignoring the shopping, focusing on his snuffle mat and his kibble, because in his eyes, I mean, I put some nice food in there for him. It was a real treat and I wanted it to be a real treat for him. You know, if you think of some scales and he's thinking, shopping, this is quite good, I can have some real fun with this, and snuffle mat of kibble, I wanted the snuffle mat of kibble to win. Okay, I wanted to make it easy for Bobby, and that's the key, is make it easy for your dogs to make good choices. So if you're wondering if all of this applies to us as well as humans, you would be absolutely right. All of those patterns that we have rehearsed create habits and they just happen. We don't even think about them. The majority of the habits that we have are unconscious. They just happen. And habits are behaviours. So maybe you scroll on the phone when you're feeling overwhelmed, or you get into bed and the first thing you do is pick up your phone and you start scrolling on the phone. And before you know it, it's another 2 hours and you've lost 2 hours of sleep. Or maybe you have developed the habit of when you're feeling really stressed, you snap at people. How about some better habits that you may already have, or better habits that you can now guide yourself towards? Maybe you leave your phone out of sight when you need to focus and you don't feel like you're missing a limb. It feels quite normal. That's a sign that you have rehearsed it enough so that it actually feels like a calm habit. And again, you do it and emotionally you're in a good space with it. Or maybe when you're in a conversation with somebody and you're feeling a little bit stressed, rather than snapping, through rehearsal, you have now built up the habit of taking a pause so that you can respond calmly rather than react and snap at somebody. So I would love to know, what habits do you and your dog have? And are they habits that you love, or are they habits that you're thinking, actually, I would love for us to change these habits? If you are thinking you are in a pattern of an unhealthy habit, you or your dog, I would love for you to reframe something. Rather than asking yourself, how can I stop this? I would love for you to start asking yourself, what is currently being rehearsed and what patterns can I change so that I'm rehearsing new habits? When you are rehearsing these new habits, the rehearsal of them will help your brain think back to what we were saying about neurons that fire together, wire together. Over time, the rehearsal of these good habits will help these habits become your default, and they will just happen at an unconscious level. Repetition goes far beyond creating new behaviours. It creates a new identity, and that is where magic really does take place.